Canada, people don't do that.
Good.
But she did. She was awesome. When in high school, I remember we had this one classmate, and he didn't always do his homework, and this one time, she just stopped in the middle of class, and she said to him, "Brian, your homework isn't done." And in class, she went to the wall where the phone was, and she called his mother in front of everybody else, and told her that her son wasn't doing his homework.
That's cool.
It's awesome. I mean, she was an amazing teacher because she didn't worry about, being popular.
Yeah.
Some teachers, all they care about is if the students love them, right? And if teachers care about being popular, they're not going to care about teaching well. So, yeah. Actually, I've lost a couple jobs because I don't care what students think of me. So, but I know the students here all love me, right? Yeah, okay. But I learned a lot from that teacher. That's why I went into language. So, the next thing I was going to just mention to you was that, you know how in the States and in other English countries, a lot of people only learn their own language, okay? And that tends to be a problem. In Taiwan, there are a lot of white faces hired as English teachers, but they don't know how to learn a language. They can only use their own language. So the question is, how can they help somebody else to learn, right? If they've never learned a language themselves. So I'm not saying that Canadians are the only good English teachers, but Canadian teachers are pretty awesome. But that's where my background is from. I studied other languages. So I have some understanding of the problems Chinese students have when you try to learn English. So you can ask me anything you'd like to ask. You can ask about the earring or anything else. But if you have questions about English, I can promise you, I will not say, 因为老师说的. All right? That is the worst answer. And there's an answer for every question. So if you have any questions about English, I would love to help you to understand that better. Okay? So, Honey, your turn to ask questions again. So you can ask anything you like, but if you can ask questions about how English works, then there's more that I can help you with.
How many languages do you learn?
I've studied about 10 languages.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. I can't use them all actively right now. I'm out of practice. But yeah, I learned French when I was growing up. My mother is from Germany.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why my name is spelled this way, with an F. Yeah. So, and my Italian teacher, she made me learn Italian. In my university, actually, do any of you speak both Hakka and Taiwanese?
Hakka.
Yeah. Kejag and yeah. Can you do both?
Yeah, but I'm not very well in Hakka.
Okay.
I'm not really speaking Hakka.
They're not the same language, but there's a lot that's similar, right? They're all similar to Chinese.
Yeah.
So, do you ever have problems confusing them? No? Are they that different that you always know this word is from this language and that word is from that language?
Oh, that we know that. We know that.
That's good. What I found when I was, hello. Come in, join us, have a seat. I blame the train schedule because they changed it recently, so that's why, yes, okay. All right, when it comes to other languages like Italian and Spanish, they both come from Latin, and they're very, very similar. They have a lot of the same sounds and a lot of the same grammar. So when I was studying Italian, I had other classmates studying Spanish. So then the Spanish students also took Italian and the Italian students took Spanish, but we got a lot of it mixed up. And in the end, I think I taught my Spanish teacher more Italian than she taught me Spanish. So if you do want to study some of those languages, only study one at a time. Because if you try to do Italian and Spanish together, it'll just become one language for you. French is different enough. You don't need to worry about that one. But yeah, and then you know how there are different kinds of Chinese, right? There are different kinds of French. The French we use in Canada and the French they use in France are very different. When my family, my father is French Canadian, so when his brothers and sisters travel in France, they have to speak in English.
Wow.
Because nobody understands them. So I've studied some of both kinds of French, and with German there are different kinds. In Switzerland, they have a really horrible sounding German, what they call Swiss German. Now, it's not nice to say that one language is ugly, but if you hear people speak German, have you heard anyone use German? No? It's a very harsh language. It's kind of guttural, right? So you can say, wie geht's dir? Yeah, there's a lot of that, all right? Now, the Swiss German, we take all of that and we add some of the most horrible sounding sounds. We put more of them into the same word. So in German, you could say, wie geht es dir? It's a very, reasonable way to say, how is it going? In Swiss German, it's geht's dir gut?
Wow, that's
Great.
like a monster talking.
Yeah, so I didn't study a lot of that language, but yeah, you can have a lot of fun with languages when you start to compare them. So yes, that was to answer your question. So other questions then?
What's your favorite movie?
Okay. Honestly, I can't say one thing, but there are a couple things that growing up, when I was growing up, we had some movies that everybody who was like me knew about these movies. It's not a sports movie, it's not, this sappy love story. The Princess Bride, it's one of those movies, it's a classic today. If you have a chance, you should see it. Now, the only problem is some of the characters have very hard to understand voices. But if you have a chance, you really should see it. It's a good story.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you don't mind a little bit of humor, you guys know Adam Sandler? Adam Sandler.
Never heard of it.
He's okay. Yeah, I don't know how to say his Chinese name. If you get Netflix, there are a lot of his movies there. And my wife and I have the same kind of humor. So maybe you won't like this movie because other people we talk to, they don't understand how we think it's funny. But this is one that you should try. The Ridiculous Six. Okay. You know what a Western movie is? With cowboys and, right? Yeah. And a lot of those movies had names like that, like the something 5 or stuff like that. They had similar names. So this is a joke about those kinds of movies. But it's just really funny. It's good. If you have a chance to see, most of his movies are really, really funny. Yeah.
Is it an American actor?
Yeah, he's American. Yeah. Some of his movies, when he was younger, some of his movies weren't as funny, but he also does a lot of family stories. this is not a family story. Don't show your parents or your kids, right? But some of his stories are really, really good for family too. This is another one. This one you can get in the video store. It's about two families who kind of get stuck together. It's really funny. And he has good ideas about how to tell a story. Actually, a lot of it. There's another one, Bedtime Stories. It's another one that's great for families. You know, it's safe to watch, but it's interesting enough for adults as well. So, yeah, his stuff is good. You should watch it. Okay, some of his stuff, but you know, most of it is pretty good. So, yeah, my wife and I, we watch a lot of this kind of thing. So, yeah. So, what's your favorite movie?
The Laurel of Everything. 是吗？他英文是要问
什么戏名啊？
Karen。
Sure. Oh, the theory of everything.
It's about the
Okay.
中文是什么？啊？中文是哪一个？中爱的万物论。
Okay.
他在讲那个
霍金是吧？
对对对。
About Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
A love story between he and his wife.
Ah. Yeah. Yeah, him. Honestly, I have issues with him. Because depending on how you look at, you know, if it's a love story, then they'll focus on that.
Yeah.
But if you look at his life and what he's done, a large part of it is about hate. He hates God.
Oh, that you got some point.
And he always has. From the very beginning, when he first got sick, basically he blamed God. And he's one of the strongest voices to say that, you know, I don't know where the earth came from, but it's not God. You know, I don't know how everything started, but it's not God. He doesn't really care about finding the truth. What he wants is to prove that it's not God, you know? So, whether you agree with him or not, you should be careful about anybody who's trying to prove something wrong. Instead of looking for the truth, you know, I hate this, so it's wrong. You know, it causes problems. So that's that's why I'm not so fond of him. But, you know, a story about his life isn't usually true anyways, so it could be fun. Yeah, so it's okay. I mean, it's not that you're wrong to watch the movie or anything, you know. So.
Okay. What's your favorite singer?
My favorite singer?
Must be Canadian.
Yeah.
Must be Canadian.
Celine Dion.
Yeah. I mean,
Not you.
Canadian.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, there are a lot of types of music I enjoy, and a lot of the Taiwan singers I really enjoy. But, you know, I'm Canadian, so I have to say Celine Dion. Right.
Cool.
She got a wonderful voice.
She does, yeah. So, okay, well, other questions? I would like it if everybody can ask at least one question.
How old are you?
That's a question, okay. I'm 43, 2.
Wow.
2, I think. 42, yeah. Because we're in 2018. Yeah. Okay.
Younger
In-
than my mom.
In Taiwan, I'm 43 because in